creativity goes beyond a pencil and a paintbrush. Hello, creative people, and welcome to I Am Creative. My name is Hollis Citron, and we are so happy that you have chosen to spend your time with us. So what are we doing here? We are really diving into this word creativity and what it means. In all of the conversations that I have had, nobody has ever defined creativity as drawing or painting. People have defined creativity as your soul's essence, that magic spark, how you show up in the world. What my true mission is to really expand this definition and allow people to be able to see themselves in it. Because when people see themselves in this definition, when they've never been told that they fit inside of it, they stand up straighter. They feel like they have something to offer the world, and basically are happier humans. So these conversations are structured on 3 questions. 1, how do you define creativity? 2, how do you incorporate it into your life? And 3, why do you think that it's important? So let's just dive right in. So my inspiring guest for today is Kathryn Toomey. She is a massage therapist and qualified in Reiki I and II, pregnancy massage, crystal science, aromatherapy and reflexology. She has a certificate in massage therapy and a diploma in remedial massage, and is also commonly found in witches circles, workshops, and business enterprise. Such an interesting combination. And currently completing an art therapy qualification. Wow. Oh my gosh, Kathryn, welcome to the space.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited to have you here. Okay, so let's just dive right in, and I would love to hear a fun fact about you.
Oh my gosh. That's just so weird. A fun fact is I really love children's illustrations. I really love Photoshop. It's the complete opposite of everything else. Like, I love my art. I love even just using my body as a tool in acting and performance. But I really love teeny tiny things. Actually, I love teeny tiny things, like antique teeny tiny things. Yeah.
Ooh. So you love like miniatures?
Miniatures, love miniatures, yeah.
And antique is kind of like the key to that, or no?
Antique is definitely the key to that, yes.
So cool, because the whole thing with the antique, it's like it has a history. It's had a life that's been passed down through many different hands, many generations.
And I love the idea that because I'm a big technology person. I really like being ahead and like I've got a little daughter as well. So she's always, like, how much do children just reinvent a whole different headspace for little, if there's like a show, then there's all the merchandise for the show that the little children will want. So having a little child, I get really engrossed in how interesting it is that every generation invents their own little world, and then that's what they have for the rest of their life. So whatever I had when I was little may in some way be passed down, but each little generation has their little thing that they're kind of going really crazy about. Like for my one, it's Roblox at the moment, which like I never had that. And then I know my older children who are like 17 years older, because I have a big gap between children. They're like I'm just like Justin Timberlake, or like they're all like still doing the YouTube. They're like the YouTubers. So I think what I take is that for me, when I was growing up, my favorite thing to get when I was a child was like a little thing to put on the shelf, like a little ornament. And I wouldn't say that I collected them, but when I published my children's book, or when I was in the creation process of my children's book, I got all my little ornaments that I still had, and then I took photos of them and photoshopped them into my book, because I had this idea that having had like children, I just kind of thought down the road, these ornaments are just gonna maybe get lost. So I think it was a fear in me, or maybe an idea that I could just repurpose them into something new in my life that I could then kind of share. And with my book, it's like, it's really good for people, for children on the spectrum as well, like for autistic children. I think it's been reviewed by a director of an organisation for autistic children, and she's recommended it as a book because the pictures are just really vivid and they're kind of symbolic, but in a really simple, not old lady, I'm not old, but like in an adult, very adult sort of process of being things that they're not going to find in there every day. It's highly unlikely they would find these images, so therefore they've got that little bit of beauty with an illustration. I think an illustration's extra special if you get that feeling you might not see it somewhere else. That's what makes it special.
Oh my gosh, so much information in there. Thank you so much for sharing all those facts about yourself. And I guess while we're here, I'm going to ask you later anyway, but since you did mention it, your children's book, what is the name of it?
My Magic Glitter Boots.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so it was inspired because I was at like a esoteric festival that we have here in Australia. It goes all around the States, and I love this festival. I've always loved it. And I bought this little pair of kind of sequenced boots from my little daughter, who was like 2. And they were just they were the inspiration. Just that, where do they go? What do they do? Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so much richness. Okay, this is going to be a great conversation. So why don't we just dive right in? And here's the official first question. Kathryn, how do you define creativity?
I think to be able to have nothing, so nothingness. Sounds wrong. It sounds wrong.
The ability to have nothing. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Okay, tell me more.
Well, I think I spend a lot of time as a massage therapist, which is that's my job. Talking about how massage makes you take those steps back into, your life performance. Whatever you're doing in life, massage allows you to relax and stop and take stock of where you're physically at. It helps you to relax. It helps you to kind of take those steps back. And then when you take those steps back, the idea is that, as well as all the physical, that you can see maybe doing something else. You can maybe squeeze a little bit more into what you would otherwise think, oh, I'm just too tired to do that, or I've done enough. A lot of the vibe or the feeling is that, oh, I've done enough. It's enough. And then I feel like with massage therapy, I'm giving yourself the opportunity to include massage into your life. It gives you nothing. And so, but I find in my life, when I have nothing, I get really creative and I like to do art. So that works for me. Because I think if I have nothing, I'll pick up a pencil, I'll pick up a paintbrush, and I'll imagine that I have time in front of me. Because the one thing you can't do with art is to be busy. You can't rush being creative. You just can't. And so I feel like the two, massage and art, really tie in well together, because you in massage you give yourself more time, and then when you have that extra time, you can then use that as a process where you pour yourself into creativity, because you'll know you won't feel busy. So
I'm taking all this in, I think, because I love this definition. So creativity is the ability to have nothing. But what I'm also hearing from this, and correct me if I'm wrong in this, is it's being present also. It's being quiet. It's being still.
Yeah, absolutely.
But what you're saying too, if I understand, is so creativity it's creating something from nothing. So you're creating something, it didn't exist. So whatever it was, it didn't exist before, and now it does. So does it have to be quiet in what you're saying?
Oh, no, of course not. No, because everybody has their own body, right? So everybody has their own definition of art as well.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm sort of running the idea of art through massage because that's my inspiration. I'm doing massage. I've been a massage therapist since 2004, 2003. I started in 2002. Had my own business before then, my own part-time business. So I've done massage therapy for a really long time. But the art has always just kind of been in the background. But now I'm studying art therapy, and I'm just at the tip. This is just me at the tip of the iceberg, where I'm mixing what has been my personal experience onwards into a journey of being like professional and business experience, and I guess not trying, but actually assuming from my own personal experience that these things do come together really well.
Yes. So just to reiterate, what this podcast is all about is about expanding the definition of creativity beyond a pencil and a paintbrush. So I love in the connections that you're making in your world and your story between massage therapy, between the books, between your art, we all have all these different facets and aspects to ourselves. And it's a matter of the joining together, the seeing the connections. When we're in flow, I feel like that's when we feel the most frustrated, is when we're disjointed and we don't see the connection and we don't feel like we have nothing and we're creating and it's worthwhile. And it's all of these, if people just stop to realize that they're creating all the time, and it is creating something that it's not perfect. Nothing is perfect, but it's the act of creating the conversations, creating the your business, creating the listening so you can create, taking your imagination and your inspiration and then turning it into something. It's in our clothes, it's in our hair, it's everything.
Yeah. I was going to say to that that what I find is my thing is that art for me, it manifests as a stage. It's sort of like it's in front of me, and I know, you know how there are those people, not me, that just have like a pad and like a doodle pad, and they just do these incredible sketches, but it's just in their own little, they're just cross-legged, or, you know, they're just in a floor situation, and then like 10 minutes later, and they have this incredible thing. And I think, oh my God, like my vibe of being creative just went back 5 years. Like, no, not happening. Look at this, look at what they're doing. And so I journey through the idea that in art, I'm creating a stage for myself. But and what that means is that I actually give myself permission to not judge what I do. So whatever ends up being a painting, mostly painting, because I'm mostly just doing painting, and I'm mostly just doing art classes. I don't do very much by myself, to be honest, because I'm a massage therapist. Mm-hmm. So I kind of hide in that territory where it's art is a personal thing. And then I'm going to enjoy sort of teaching to other people because I enjoy what we're talking about, which is giving people permission to just to not judge what they're producing when they're in that creative space and they're presenting art as a project or as an assignment, or however it comes up for them in personal space, all those kinds of things. So with my art, because it looks at me and it is the stage, because I know that that's the only way I'm not a doodler at all. Like, I'm a doodler because in massage therapy we also study a lot of psychology and all those sorts of things. So I don't want my psychology to come out the other side. I'm just very wary of that, like wary in that childlike way again, because I'm just so fortunate to be kind of held back with a lot of technology and things. So if I get to do art, it's back to me being old fashioned and like with all my, stuff, rather than it. I don't want it to be a therapy. I'm happy to teach it as a therapy, but I don't want it to be a therapy for me, which I know art therapy. I mean, I know there is art used as therapy.
Okay. So, you know what? And again, it's creativity is in every form of life. So I like how you're referencing how it is in your own personal work, but that as far as art goes, but then also within you as a person and creativity within that aspect. So if you could take us a little bit on a journey, like what did you do, like wherever you want to start? And I know this is really broad, but even like before massage therapy, you've done so many different things. Like I look and see, and it's just kind of like massage therapist, author, actress, radio person, radio announcer. Like there's so many aspects to you and how you express yourself. So take us on a little journey wherever you want on who you are and how you got to where you are now, please.
All right. Okay. Well, I guess, look, I started out being a bit of a hippie and, just kind of living in share houses and just like not kind of struggling, a bit of a school leaver. I'd left with a year 10, like I left school halfway through year 11 to be a radio announcer. My dad was a radio announcer, so I was kind of trying to follow in his footsteps a little bit. So I really didn't actually leave with that much education, to be honest. And the radio announcing thing was quite difficult. It was state to state, and I really wasn't old enough at like 17 to really get a grasp of a work life or work ethic or anything. So I went to a lot of these hippie festivals and just kind of moused around, and eventually bumped into doing a massage course through doing Reiki. I did a Reiki course, and I was always sort of esoteric and always interested in crystals and, just kind of rounding that area of. I used to read a lot of books about aliens and like this is 20 years ago, like people channeling, and the Pleiades and the stars. I used to really enjoy learning about the constellations from books, the constellations and how, the beings are coming from another planet and all this. And then I think after about 5 years of that, I was like, what is this? Like, just throw all that away. And then I had my children, and then I was just kind of like a homebody, but I had my massage qualification, but even though I had run a part-time business, but again, I really wasn't able to really take very much seriously. And look, then I think once I had children, the idea of multitasking just became so much of what I think helps people get through, people that are really expressing, really getting out there and doing much more than just their 9-to-5 job, people that are really tirelessly wanting to put energetics into the world. I think that takes really a special type of person that is unforgiving about their education. And so then I worked as an accounts clerk for like 5 years or something like that, or like customer service. I did that 9-to-5 job, but I was always studying acting. So I studied my acting. I went to a lot of schools that had some really fantastic mentors and people like that. I wanted my guest role on Neighbours. And I had a lot of friends that went through that kind of spot, that role. Or, like to do an ad or something. That was all I wanted, which is kind of a little bit, not selfish, but a bit into me. But, that was just my thing, because to me it was selfless, because it's TV, right? So it's
right.
It's like nothing. And then I'd get paid. So, like everyone's happy in that way. And so yeah, I just a lot of acting, I did loads of alternative and student sort of films. So I do have like my little IMDb profile that just contains a lot of that work.
Yeah.
And you know, and I did get to go on quite a few shows, but normally it's as background, and then some theatre, and some commercial work and stuff like that. And so that took all of that time. And then I had my third daughter, and then that kind of I did a lot of traveling as well, so a little bit of traveling. And so then I thought I'll do a travel, like a tourism travel qualification. I thought maybe that's what I can do. I'll go from accounting, because for me, acting's always been in the background. I think it is for a lot of people. I mean, yeah, you're going to be someone special as well if you're in full-time acting. You know, you're going to be like, you know, those people. So, and I just, to go from the accounting and the customer service, I thought I'll try and get into travel and tourism. So that's what I did. But in completing that course, I was then informed by a careers counsellor that was the equivalent of year 12. And then something happened inside the actual chemistry of my body, like this incredible, I don't know how to explain it, but it's like something that was not even in my brain just opened up the door. And since then, I've had all the doors just opening up and all these amazing experiences. And I don't know why, because I didn't feel like it bothered me, but it did. My career progression did bother me, and I didn't know what was stopping me. And then in reality, sometimes there really is something stopping you. There's plenty of people trying to get somewhere in their career, and they just don't have that degree. They just don't have it. Somebody else has it, and that's, you know, like, how many movies are there about that, by the way? So it's in movie land, but it's good to actually get a conversation so that, you know, people, so that even for myself, I was lucky to want to keep processing from an education point of view, which is just in my, that's like my, what do you call it? Like my, what's that thing like astrology, but it's not astrology and they just do the numbers.
Numerology.
It's sort of,
numerology?
No, I did actually. I was very interested in numerology while I was doing my acting work. No, I can't quite remember. Human design.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So my human design is to be always just so focused on education. So I'm fine with that. So I'm lucky, but because I did stay focused with education, so I was able to just shift that thing that just somehow changed how I was then to proceed. And I suppose even just guidance and like strength of honesty, because I just didn't know. It doesn't occur, like so many people do say, and I'm not here to say that's not true, that you can just be whatever you want. You don't need a degree and all of this. But I guess, you know, in the world of art, that could just well be true.
Yeah. Well, but I think what you're talking to also, and thank you for all of that, because it's a big journey. And it's that sometimes we don't realize, what I heard from that is sometimes we don't realize these things that create these blocks. We don't think it's a big deal, or we just don't make the connection. And then it sounds like when you kind of went full circle and then you get confirmation that this was you closing that door, which you never felt that you closed before, that chapter was closed, then you can be like, oh, I didn't even realize that bothered me, or that, you know, I had that goal and it didn't get done. So I think that happens for people in many aspects of life, where you just can close it and then you can breathe, and then everything else just kind of flows in. Then you see all these other opportunities that you couldn't see before.
Yeah, exactly. And I think because I'm very I'm like esoteric, or very like not effervescent, but like I'm quite I very much read like The Alchemist, you know, like 20 years ago. Like it just, like I have so much guidance that's come through what everybody's are kind of into, I guess. I just feel like a little bit like I am always trying to be the popularist. But again, that's because I love history, and the cool people in history are the, you know, the popularist. I mean, is that even the
word? We've made it a word.
Yeah, I really love, you know, like in these, because I'm just a history, like my thing, you know, is history in the background, because I think I have it in my own life. I always say this, but like I didn't really have grandparents. I had one grandparent that we didn't have much contact with, and on the other side of my family, my grandparents had passed away in the war, basically. So or, you know, through issues just after the war, or, you know, like it just felt like there was so much war going on in my house. So I just feel like those you know, timelines of people that have been popularists in the past, you know, just really show up for me to help me to be really amazing in this life, with all the amazing technologies and everything that we have in this life, to really, really be strong in that. Because they passed, they're like my heroes. So it doesn't matter if they were, you know, just working at the local train station. That doesn't matter to me. They were the most incredible, you know, beautastic, just, you know, strengthening people, because they, you know, they made me. Like without them, but there wouldn't be a me. So I really believe that, I think they give me my strength in art as well, because of the luxury of being able to do that, to be able to just, you know, spend time, you know, making something in front of, with everything that we have. We then come to kind of splashing something around in front of us that's going to give us a sense of worth and happiness and joy and exuberance. And yeah, I love that.
It's this personal expression, when we have a chance to actually express ourselves. And in the format of what you're talking about it's I don't know, I'm just kind of talking, I'm just kind of riffing right now, but it's could you see it as I mean, sometimes it is a luxury. It's like I actually get to
100%.
express myself. And if I express myself in the many different ways, maybe it's through my voice, maybe it's through my business, and being a salesperson and the words I use and all of this. Maybe it's within art, of having the materials and the medium and the time to be able to express. And it can feel like a luxury, but it's the appreciation of all of this. Because as creatives, which everyone is, when we have that purpose, when we have that drive, we will use whatever is there.
Yes.
In order to make it happen. If the exact material is not there, or the exact idea or concept or whatever, that's where we pivot, and that's where we work with it. We make it happen if we're driven to make it from nothing to something.
Yes, that is exactly spot on, because not everybody's going to work through there. Like I think I work a lot through my heart chakra, and like I want to kind of be giving in my art, but some people would work through their, you know, their throat chakra. Some people would work through their power, through their sacral chakra. Some people like that, you know, actual people that are actually in their performance life being artists are most likely not working through their heart chakra, because you know, they have to get paid essentially. It's you know, I see that line, I think, because I go to galleries. I actually go, and I have so much respect for art and artists and their creativity, and I love seeing how an artist can make a painting, or a painting, and then but the next painting's a little bit different but similar, then the next one a little bit different but similar. I love the way that they've been caressed into drawing their art for not just one thing, which is quite different to me with my art therapy. It's quite a different thing. But I explore their willingness to be able to present their art in so many different ways. And then it's kind of doubling and tripling and quadrupling. And then it just becomes this beautiful scenario where you can't actually buy everything. Like you just can't. No one ever does. No one goes, oh, I'll have the lot. You know? So I think I really like that because it does require some control.
Well, I think also it's kind of like you made me think of so Monet. So if anybody knows Monet, the painter, his time period that he was in was called Impressionism. So his work, amongst many other artists in that time, was about capturing moments. So what that just popped into my brain as you were talking, because he would often do the same, he would do a series of the same scene, but in different light. The light was different, but it would be a repetition of the same scene, but the light changes. And when the light changes, everything changes. It's then there are different shades and there are different colors and there's a different feeling. There's a different, everything changes. So it's kind of like these glimpses. I see, I like the comparison that, you know, our eyes are our cameras, and these moments that we have are just their moments, and it's going to change. So I just think it's when you get all philosophical about it, like, and you become aware of it, like it's pretty cool to kind of think, yeah, I just blinked my eyes and here I am looking at you. I just blinked my eyes and then I turn my head and I blink my eyes. It's just kind of like capturing all of these moments. And I think that that's the artistry of life, is when you are aware of all of this and you can appreciate it.
Yes, having that gratitude, having that, you know, that magnificent feeling of feeling like you've won through the pressure, and then at the end there's that gratitude and that feeling of wealth of mind as well.
So then here we're moving on to the second question, which is, so for you, Kathryn, how do you incorporate, I mean, you've mentioned a lot of things, but let's learn a little bit more, how you incorporate more creativity into your own life for you. What else do you want to add to what you've said?
Well, I think, well, in my writing, I mean, I've had a book, Lunar Wisdom, which was published last year, which was just a beautiful book about the lunar cycles of the moon, which I really, really love. And before the whole COVID pandemic, I just kind of waved at the moon. I didn't have an understanding of study in any way. I was like, when I was a child, actually, I always used to get the little Capricorn, the little star sign things at the newsagents. That would be my little, you know, grab if I was there and I could do that. But I just didn't take it. I took it with all a grain of salt. But then during COVID, because it was just, maybe I was crazy, I'm not sure. But I spent a lot of time in workshops and things, and personal development courses, and like online on Zoom and on different platforms, and just kind of came across or began to acknowledge some superhumans that are just doing that do a lot of work towards the lunar cycles, and working with them. And one of them is Yasmin Boland, actually, who's just really amazing. And she releases a diary every year that actually describes the new moon and the full moon and the days and the times that the moon's traveling through all the different star signs. So I do find that is a really kind of fun way for me to describe my the things that I find that are creative, because I get to see like how I'm actually journeying through the year from the very start, and how things may or may not turn out. And then I just think the actual moon in itself is always that representation. So even now, if I'm feeling a little off, I'll just check where the moon is. And I think also, to me, the moon is most definitely a form of beauty that we have now, the ability to see it in so many different ways, you know, as opposed to 500 years ago when it was like this. And now it's sort of, you know, we humans have been to the moon. You know, that the whole space thing is just a whole other thing that I equally find fascinating. So I think I'm lucky. Like, while I don't necessarily understand how. I just find that is a form of art, for us to actually see the amount of science that is poured into to space and all those discoveries. I just find that really incredible and really moving, because it's you know, like when we're only 100 years into that journey.
Yeah.
Physically, and physical, not even 50 years. Like, when was that? 1970, my lifetime. So so they're up to me, you know, as far as I can work out, in the form of space. And I mean, when you think about 500 years without toilets, I mean, it just blows my mind.
Right?
We're up into space, we're doing all that, and that's kind of, that's my quirky kind of how I process my own journey, because we're just so lucky. We're so lucky to have this learning. There's so much to learn. There's so much to at least, you know, be content to understand.
Be content to understand. Wow. So I can't believe we're getting ready to wrap up. This is crazy. But before we get to the last and final question, I would love to hear, do you have a morning or evening routine?
Yeah, look, I really love my affirmation cards at the moment. So I would most likely say, if I'm feeling it, which I normally am, I would choose how I'm feeling it. If I'm feeling moony, because I've got a few moon, like moonology sort of oracle cards, and then I have a really good Akashic records affirmation card deck, which I just love, because I don't really know too much about Akashic records, but it's interesting how, for me, to just pull a card and look at the card, I feel like it gives me everything I know or need to know. And I keep getting the same card with this particular deck. So again, it's just so interesting how life pours into life. Like, if you give life, I feel like you receive life.
Yeah. Is this in the morning?
Yeah, but
for you?
I'm really a cup of tea. Cup of coffee. I'm a bit of a coffee fiend, so I'm more like a cup of coffee. I'm really sorry, but I probably just grab my phone and see who's online, you know, who to talk to. I'm such a communicator. I know this interview has been so wonderful to talk to you, because you've really made me feel comfortable enough to just talk. And I remember, again, in growing up, my favorite thing to do was to wake up and tell my dad all about my dreams that I'd had that night. And, you know, and he made me feel like it was just not a waste of time to have had those experiences. And additionally, not a waste of time to share those experiences with him. And then additionally, not a waste of time for me to walk away and go, like, it's gone now. I feel it's okay now. It's okay. So I really have appreciated drawing on the conversations that I'm always being part of, but to be able to share them with you has been really nice, because
we're not done yet. We're not done yet, but I appreciate all of this, because the third and final question is, and I appreciate everything that you just said. There's so much to think about in that, but sounds repetitive, but it's not. Why do you think creativity is important?
Well, I think it really is the moment when you don't judge someone else, because in creativity, hopefully you're so busy in that moment in yourself doing your expression of the creativity, that you you can't feel judgment, and therefore you don't judge.
Cannot feel judgment, so therefore you don't judge. You are so philosophical. I love this, because just like even what you said before this is when you were talking to your dad, because it's interesting that you say that, because I would sit with my father and have these conversations about space and planets and all of this stuff. And it's the act of the permission to be able to say these things and say the weirdest things or whatever, or just sit down and talk about it and then then move on. It's like nobody thinks that you're weird or whatever. That's like a blip in time where you're having these conversations and you're in the moment and you're aware and you're discussing things, and then you move on. And I don't know. I just thought it was really beautiful the way that you said that. Yeah, I just think conversation is just is such a creative act.
It is absolutely 100%. I mean, I think that's my feeling, because I enjoy communicating, and it is such a different experience in massage therapy. Of course, we're really quiet, and so I love. And then the art is the noise. The art is the take this, assumably. Maybe that's my personality as well. Like I said, it's not everybody. Everybody isn't like that at all. But I can't be that other person. I have to be who I am.
Right.
And yeah, and I think, I think my quiet journey is, like you say, philosophical, and it is time based, and it is history based, and it is a lot of other things that, like, I think when I talk to other people, they're like, oh no, that's weird. I'm not. That's not what I'm doing. I'm doing something else. And that, but like, that's, everybody has to do. I feel like you have to do what is the inspiration for your own life. You can't listen to someone else. And and you always have to be full. I try and be really full of everybody else's stuff and what they're doing, and being interested in all the other things that people are doing. And then I just have my little cup and I just keep it always full, because then, to me, the least thing I'm drawn to is always just going to like flip out. It's always going to not be needed. But I don't want to be feeling like it's not full for me.
We're going to close out in a minute, but I do want to actually bring attention to when you said massage is quiet. I think in communicating, you don't have to talk. So
that's right.
I actually I feel massage as there's a lot of communicating going on, because you're doing a lot of listening.
That's right. I kind of lied, but
you're listening to a person, like, to just their body in general, because we're energetic beings. But then you can feel, I'm guessing, I do energy work myself, but with actual massage, I'm not a massage therapist. You can feel like where one body is maybe saying something or needs something. And even though maybe it's feeling it here, but it's really stemming from here. Like, and the person receiving it is kind of maybe making sounds or not, but there's a whole conversation going on.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely. And that's, I mean, I would always say, I would hope that in the future, in 50 years or whatever, massage is incorporated into someone that's also receiving coaching or therapy in the form of counseling, or people that are in those situations where they're maybe, from a psychologist's point of view, maybe from that point of view where people are like talking about their problem. I would really hope in the future that there's an incorporation of some body work and some physical work in there, so that person gets to have a little bubble of how they feel, but in that closed and trusting environment. Yeah. Because, I just feel like you can have a lot of talk and counseling, or, when people are getting psychotherapy, or people are getting psychology, or people are getting coaching, or people are just getting talk from another person. I think you can get a lot of that's really good, but I think down down the road, that person still hasn't necessarily, you know, and also in relationships and things, you know, people see for relationship counseling and things like that. I really would like to see. I mean, massage therapy is only like 30, 40, 50 years old. The association was only like, the Massage Association is not even old in itself. So everything that we're doing right now is hopefully for the future. And hopefully the more esoteric we can make it, the more people will not feel, or people will feel like they can include it into their scheduling, into their diaries, because I just think it offers so much benefit, especially for creativity.
So Kathryn, can you please tell people how they can connect with you?
Yes, well, I'm in Australia. So again, thank you so much for having me, because like it's going to really limit the idea of someone actually receiving massage from me. But I have a business in Bayside, Melbourne. My Facebook is Kathryn Toomey Massage, so you'll find me there. My book, My Magic Glitter Boots, it's available on Amazon. I have Lunar Wisdom, Magnetic Abundance, and Return to the Mother World, which has just been released, all again available on Amazon. And they all give like a really good beefy chapter of a piece of my life, which I've just really enjoyed sharing, because I really do love communicating, and that is such a wonderful way to be able to do it in writing as well as art.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So before we say goodbye, is there anything that you feel top of mind, or anything that you feel like you want to say that you forgot to say?
Oh, no, you've been so lovely to talk to. I've just enjoyed every single second, because it's really just, you know, like I know how wonderful it is just to meet somebody that has such similar energies. And I think, no, I'm just so happy. Thank you for having me.
Oh, Kathryn, it has been a pleasure. Thank you so much for spending your time with me. I know you could be doing anything, and I so appreciate you being here with us. So thank you. I believe these conversations have always been important, but now I think that they are more important than ever. Please like, follow, share, spread the goodness, because people really need to hear these messages in order to be able to see themselves in them, in order to be able to hear these people's stories, in order to be able to expand their thinking. It is so important to really understand that creativity is life. And everybody has creativity within them. To find out more about what we offer, go to iamcreativephilly.com, and you will see that there are services from publishing, multi-author and solo books, kits, workshops, and retreats, to creativity one-on-one coaching. So if you are ready to unleash your voice, break through your blocks, and confidently share your story, I cannot wait to help you birth your ideas into the world.